Alright, hey, what's up everybody? My name is JupiterClimb. Just making sure the timer works. Okay, I think we're good. Well, thanks so much for everybody's generosity so far. Twitch chat coming in clutch again. That's great. We're gonna keep the hype going with a little mini Castlevania block, starting with Circle of the Moon. I call this game an Igavania, but Iga actually had nothing to do with the creation of this game, and I think it shows in a lot of ways. Definitely the odd one out of this series, and that really starts with the movement. The movement in this game is often described as being stiff, definitely a little bit unorthodox. But once you get used to it, the game actually plays super smooth. Early on, for the first minute or so, sliding is actually going to be the fastest form of movement. So the category here is Fighter All Bosses. To explain a little bit about that, this game has a bunch of different alternate modes. Nice one frame. And Fighter mode is very combat focused. I'm not able to use any magic cards, so I'm going to be focusing on beating everything up with sub-weapons and with the whip. Very early on here we pick up the dash boots, and this is going to be our main form of movement for the rest of the game. This game does have double tap dash, which a lot of people do not like so much. You can also do something called a double back, where you press left or right then left. That also activates a dash. That can often be a little bit easier on the thumbs, so I'll try to use that more. And since this is the all bosses category, the goal is not just to complete the game, but to beat all the bosses along the way. So we'll be making some detours to areas we don't normally see. Now, the two big things to keep in mind as we're going through this game in terms of routing are equipment and hearts. Hearts are used as ammo, of course, for the sub-weapons. And because strength is such an important stat, I really want to get strength-boosting equipment. So this is the first boss, Cerberus. On a normal playthrough, that boss can be quite difficult for a first boss, but because we're in fighter mode, our vitality and our strength are boosted compared to the vanilla game, so it's a pretty quick fight. Not too bad. So here's the first sub-weapon we're going to be using this run, the Holy Water. Mainly just used, honestly, to clear out some skeletons during this upcoming climb. Then we'll switch over to the axe, but it's helpful here. You can see I'm using a lot of double backs to keep my dash momentum as I climb here. You'll notice I've already made a couple of detours to pick up those heart container items. Because hearts are so important, it's actually worth spending a few seconds to increase Nathan Graves' max heart capacity. really is so important to have as many sub-weapon uses as we can. I'm also going to be killing some enemies along the way. This is actually a new thing, relatively new thing, for this game, the experience routing. The idea is we want to get a level up extra just before the first couple of bosses. Ends up saving a bit of time overall. So I'm going to kill enemies that aren't too out of the way. Okay, nice. There is an item I'm actually looking for, a random drop early on, something called the armband. It'll increase my strength by 5. Ideally I'd get 2, I'll settle for 1, but it looks like I'm gonna get none. Which does happen sometimes. These drops I need are not that common. Thankfully, completing the game is going to be no problem with bad equipment, but boy, it really does save a lot of time. Over the course of the run, the difference between no good equipment and best equipment ends up being several minutes, so it really is quite significant. Alright, so Necromancer, the main idea here is to throw as many well-timed axes as I can. Bad start. Not the best pattern. Alright, so that's the attack we don't want. The second phase of Necromancer has 2 attacks. Either summon zombies or that energy ball attack. Oof, some bad luck. Hopefully we're just knocking that out of the way early. There we go, that's the one I want. So one of the things I really like about Circle of the Moon is you get plenty of movement abilities very early on. We already have dash and double jump. Now we get this slide ability. It's actually faster to slide off of ledges by a little bit, so we'll try to do that when we can. I think it's called the tackle in-game. Alright, next up, we actually have an early clock tower. A lot of interesting movement here. There's also another drop in this corridor I'd like to see. The luck ring can drop from these enemies down here. Itself, it's not useful for much, but it can make later drops a bit more likely. That was also pretty good. That was a prison garb I picked up. Go ahead and equip that. That increases strength by 5. Alright, missed the fast cycle. That's alright. The fast cycle here saves about 5 seconds. Let me get that big heart. Alright, so we're going to take a nice little safety save here. There are many places in this run where I could die, so we'll be saving periodically, just in case. And here we find the most important item in the run, the cross. This is going to be our sub-weapon for the rest of the game. For those who have not played Circle of the Moon, the cross is good in a lot of games, but here, it's insanely strong. So we get another mobility option here. We can jump off walls. I am a bit low on hearts, so I'm gonna get a few here. That should be alright. These heat shades can drop a really nice piece of offensive armor. It's plus 10. Didn't get lucky there, but it'd be nice to have. Nice snipe. Those Fox snipers drop a really, really good piece of equipment. In fact, it's the best armor for this run in the game. It's called the Night Suit. But it's a super rare drop. I think it's 0.8% per enemy you kill, so not something I tend to rely on. We're gonna get another heart up in the top left. Secret wall. And now we're going to do a little bit of a sequence break, actually. We're going to go fight Adramelech as usual. But after that, we're actually going to take a trip to see Camilla, who's quite a late boss. We're going to see that much earlier than you're supposed to. And I'll talk a little bit more about that when we get there, but it's a much tougher way to play the game. You can also do it in the normal mode. Here is where, you know, runs would die or live if you were trying to go for like a record pace speedrun, because the best drops in the game are in this area. We're really trying to get something called the Strength Ring from these grizzly bear enemies coming up. It's a huge buff to strength. I think it's plus 50, but it's quite rare. These demons can also drop something called the Cursed Ring, which is plus 30. So we'll throw a couple crosses. Yeah, not lucky. We'll have one more chance to get a strength ring this run at the end of this area. There's a nice little skip coming up. Let's see if I can get it. You can wall jump on the right here. Nice. This skip here is a little bit tougher, but it's even more important. That second try is fine. And that skips a whole trip around the right side of the room. Alright, so here we go. This is our very last chance to get some kind of good equipment. I'll grind this a few times, just to kind of roll the dice. Would be quite helpful, but we don't need it. I'll do one more. Never lucky. Never lucky. Typically, I would say about 5 to 10% of my attempts survive past this area. So the odds are definitely not in your favor. As you can see, the cross, with or without good equipment, really does tear through bosses. Alright, so another safety save here. There's a very dangerous area coming up. This shouldn't be necessary. Like I said, in fighter mode you have a bit more HP than usual. But there are certain enemies that can, easily knock off half your health. Oh, this is the wrong way. One more room. Then we go to the left. So here's that sequence break I mentioned earlier. I think it's designer intended. What you're supposed to do normally is go fight a couple of zombie dragons, then go fight death, and that gives you an ability that lets you purify cursed water. It's basically poison. It drains a certain percentage of your health each hit. And this area coming up is full of cursed water. However, if you're careful enough, you can survive and do this part first. And the reason we want to do that in a speedrun is because all the extra levels I'm going to pick up from this, you know, intended to be later boss are going to be very helpful for the rest of the game. Alright, so we're doing okay on hearts here. Get a few more. Yeah, so every second I'm in that poison water, I'm taking a little bit of damage. And these ice armors here are the enemy I'm really worried about. If you get frozen, any follow-up hit that's done to you in that frozen state deals a lot of damage. But we're alright. I'm going to go down here. There's another save I can use to lock in this progress. The boss coming up is another potential reset point. So this is Camilla. We're fighting this boss about 3 bosses earlier or so. Thankfully, with the cross, I should have enough hearts to knock this boss out without too much trouble. Sort of depends on the attack patterns that I get. Nice fight. Okay, good. Very good. Got some hearts to spare, actually. Another reason coming here early is a good idea. We basically get flight. This is called the Rock Wing, I can press R and accelerate through the air very quickly. Makes a lot of the movement through these upcoming areas a lot easier than if you saved Camilla for later. So we're not quite done with the equipment farming. I have a couple of chances coming up for a cursed ring from these demons here. Well, got excited for a second. That's a drop, but that's the wrong drop. Yeah, let me farm this one more time. Nah, those enemies can sometimes drop a heart replenisher item. It's plus 10 hearts. Can be useful as like a backup. Very nice. Okay, that room is tricky to execute. Alright, so right here we got my favorite boss in the game, the dragon zombie fight. Definitely need a lot of hearts with no good equipment, so let's farm those up. But basically you fight two dragons at once. And once again crosses are the answer. But you gotta make sure they're well-timed, well-placed. Alright, there's one. Nice, okay. Now we get probably the most uneventful progression item. All that ring allows us to do is pick up boxes. That's it. But we do need it to go fight death. You'll notice a couple of succubi flying around in that room that weren't there before. Something else I really like about Circle, older enemies will actually get filled, older areas will get filled with new enemies as you make it to certain parts of the game. So when you're backtracking, you gotta be careful because the enemies are getting powered up as well. So sad to say, we do have some box pushing puzzles in the warehouse. For some of them, there are some cool tricks you can do to speed them up. But ultimately, they are just box pushing puzzles. Thankfully, not too many of them. This area is pretty convenient. We get 15 hearts and a heart up, all in one location. That's nice. So this room requires some explanation. I'm breaking 2 blocks there seemingly for no reason. And people always ask about that. It actually reduces lag in this room. So it's quicker to break those than skip them. That's definitely probably the most counterintuitive part of this route. Man, I did not get any equipment at all this run. Sometimes those tables can drop a curse string. It's actually not that unlikely. But hey, that's marathon luck for you. So with death, I get to show off something a little bit subtle. If you're dashing when you throw across, it goes a little bit further. So you want to kind of time some dash throws instead of regular throws. But yeah, phase 2 is a lot more straightforward. So 2 bosses left. We have Hugh Baldwin, and then we got to go fight Dracula. I like this section of the game a lot. It shows off some of the rock wing movement pretty well. The observation tower here has by far the strongest enemies in the game. Quite easy to die if I get careless. Alright, nice damage boost. So I will save up here. These dark armors, for example, are pretty notorious. They can bounce you all over the place, they do a lot of damage. Tough to deal with. Got a few more coming up. Now, I haven't taken that much damage so far, but I'm going to grab this life up item here because I'm going to go for a strat against the boss that requires a lot of HP to do safely. This is also something you would go for in the speedrun. Okay, not too bad. The difficulty of this fight here really depends on your equipment. And because we're so poorly equipped, it's going to be tough. But I'll give it my best shot. So I want to kind of lure him to the right and wait for the holy water. Nice, okay. This is the strat here. Speeds things up. Much faster, hit him that way. Oh, that's not the attack you want to see. Hang on. Gotta be careful now. Alright, so we'll play it safe for the rest of the fight. Okay, not bad, all things considered. If you get holy water in the second phase, you can also continue that strat, same as before. Well, I do have to do one last heart grind here, so I don't know if there are any donations pending, but now would be a great time to read them. I'm just gonna be chilling in this room for 30 seconds. Alright, that's good there. Alright, so we're on to Dracula. This fight has two phases. First one is very easy. The second one is very difficult. I think it has a reputation among casual players as being one of the hardest Drac fights in the series, for good reason. It's tough in a speedrun as well. But yeah, even with this bad equipment, we should get a 3 cycle here. Yeah, nice, okay. Normally I would head straight into phase 2. But it's probably best to save. We're already a little bit overestimate because of the equipment issues. So that's fine, it's like a 30-second, 45-second detour. just to give you a sense of how much time equipment can save, we're probably on pace for like a 43 here. My personal best time, which got very, very good equipment luck, is a 36:11. So, yeah, you also got to factor in the safety saves I've been taking. But yeah, good equipment really does make all the difference for Circle. Also, you know what, while I'm here, how about get a couple of these big hearts. I think we're ready. So Dracula 2 can start out with 3 different attacks. If I get lasers, it's going to save a ton of time. Nice. So we got a little bit of luck this run, at least at the end. And that's a 1 cycle on phase 1. Here, the big idea is do not get hit by that charge attack. It'll do like 60% of my health. And rack up damage with the crosses. Not the best cross throws, to be perfectly honest. I think this is like an 8 cycle, something like that. With perfect equipment, you can get a 2 cycle here. No sweat. Hopefully we're getting close. Okay. Wow, that run was an ordeal, but at least it was deathless. Was hoping for at least 1 or 2 decent drops, would have made a big difference. But yeah, that's Circle. It was the first GBA Vania. I think it's still one of the best in the series. Really, really good. But definitely challenging. Alright, well, up next, I'm going to be doing Aria and Dawn. So we're going to stick with the Igavanias for a little bit.